Guys, the biggest trade piece so far of 2023 is now on a new team. That is Timo Meier, who is now on the New Jersey Devils. Just as we had predicted earlier, this trade was a massive blockbuster. Actually, it was more pieces involved than I thought was ending up.
Yeah, this is really, really huge for the Devils. Now they have this legitimate goal scorer on the team that they badly needed for a long time. This is a volume shooter. He's going to work really, really well with Nico Hischier, obviously. I think they did this deal for him, to be honest, both from Switzerland. So it's going to be exciting to see these two guys play together.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love the compliment because this is a team that has a really strong 1-2 center down the middle. When you have Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier, that's awesome. You're pretty much set for the next 15 years for this team at center, but they really needed a winger who could complement these guys and actually shoot the puck. And this is a guy who shoots the puck like 300 times a year. As Hohen said, volume shooter. He scores quite a bit. He's had multi 30-goal seasons already at the age of 26. This guy's not even that old. He's going to fit really well in with this core age-wise.
So what do you think of the package?
Yes. So we got to get to the package here, guys. This was a bit of a long one. We're going to leave it on screen for you to make it a little easier. But basically, the core of this package ends up being 2 first-rounders, the 2023 first and the 2024 first of the New Jersey Devils, with the 2024 being a conditional pick based on if the Devils make it to the Eastern Conference Final. So we'll see how that works out. But if not, I think it's really good for the Sharks getting some capital back for a guy who is going to be off contract soon. But really, the Devils really needed this to take them over the top. They got to go against a very stacked conference in the East and play against teams like the Rangers, who have been loading up, and Carolina, who's a great team in itself, especially in their division, on the way to the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah, I mean, they badly needed this. Like Scott said, they needed another player that can score goals. They needed this to solidify their top 6 there, especially with the Rangers and all their competition loading up this so far. I think the Sharks did okay in this trade, considering Timo Meier is on expiring contract. I don't think Sharks have much leverage in this. And don't expect that the Patrick Kane trade, when he gets moved, is going to be a good trade. It's going to be very underwhelming, I predict. I just don't think Chicago is going to get a lot back for that player as well, just because these players are on an expiring contract. I know they're big name players, but you can't expect much of a contract base. The fact that they got a lot of pieces like Sutherland, I like Sutherland a lot, speedy kid. The defensive prospect, we'll see how they pan out. Andreas Janssen's a wash. I don't really like him. But the first round picks are very, very, very good to pick up.
Yeah, no, I think it's really good. The combination, basically, they ended up getting essentially 3 first-round picks because they got the 2023, the 2024 picks, but they also got Shakir Makhmadoulian, who is a former first-round pick. This is a very solid defensive defenseman, huge guy. This guy's 6'5", 6'6", big body, will block shots, will hit people. Really good building block when you actually need to get some defense like the Sharks do, so I think that was a good thing. And for a rental, like Hohen said, this is probably the biggest package we've seen in a long, long time for a rental player.
Yeah, so this is going to raise a question in the future. I was talking to Scott earlier about this. What is going to happen with Jesper Bratt? Are they going to... I feel like with the New Jersey Devils, it's going to be tough to fit both Timo Meier and Jesper Bratt under a cap next year. So it's going to be interesting to see who they're going to choose between the two.
Yeah, I do think if they're making this trade right now, I don't think the Devils look at their roster and say, hey, I know we were a lottery team last year, but we're going to win the Stanley Cup this year. I mean, granted, they're going to try, but this is not a team who's probably ready to win it all this year. This is a young core, and I think they're going to look to sign Timo Meier if they were willing to trade that much draft capital for him. And if they do, it's going to be interesting to see how much they're looking to sign him for.
Yeah, Timo Meier is going to be interesting because I feel like his next contract is probably going to be in the neighborhood of $9 to $9.5 million per year, which is a lot of money. So I don't know. Jack Hughes, their best player right now, is only getting paid $8. So it's going to be interesting.
It is always hard when a guy who just signed like Jack this offseason for 8 times 8 and Nico's also getting the same type of contract. It's really hard for a guy like Timo Meier to be able to have the leverage to say, hey, I want 9.5 or 9. I think a fair price, and I know it's still a little steep, but I think they can make it work, is if they paid Timo Meier some kind of contract 6 or 7 years times 8.5.
Yeah, I think he would be down to do that, especially having a chance to play with his best friend.
They're so tight. They played junior together. They played Swiss together.
And if you look at the Boston Bruins right now, which is the best team in hockey right now, you look at their team. Look at how many how many bargain contracts that they have in the roster.
It's the recipe for success to take less. Like Boston proves it to us like all the time with those guys all making under $7 million, and they're just such a good team because they can spread the love.
Exactly. Well, I don't know how with Pasternak's contract coming up. I don't know how that's going to pan out.
He's going to get paid.
He's going to get paid, and I think he deserves to get paid because he's the best player by far on that team at a good age. But
Timo's definitely not getting that kind of money.
No, but Timo Meier is a very effective player on this team. As much as I like Jesper Bratt, he's a speedy player, very effective player. I like Timo Meier more on this team just for the fact that he's a volume shooter. It's very hard to find these type of volume shooters that can snipe goals in. It's very hard to find shooters in the league, surprisingly, considering hockey is about scoring goals.
Yeah, if I'm being completely honest, which we try to always be and ruthless, I prefer Timo Meier to Jesper Bratt. But that being said, I do truly believe they're going to find a way to sign these guys both. The cap is going to slowly be rising from now until 2026, a little bit every year. And I think that this team is not paying their high-end players as much. Like, I mean, $8 million each for Hughes and Hischier is not exactly enough to break the bank. And if we can see a team like the Toronto Maple Leafs pay $44 million for 4 guys, then they can pay $36 million or $35 million for 4 guys with their big core 4.
Yeah, and then when I looked at her salary right now, it looks pretty good. That they already have Dougie Hamilton locked up for a while.
They're in a good spot next year financially.
Marino's locked up for a while. Siegenthaler's locked up for a while. So it's the defense
and those
is
are
looking
guys
good.
that are bargains.
The only guys so they got Eric Haula coming off the books. They got Thomas Tatar coming off the books.
Get him out of there. He's not needed.
Miles Wood's coming off the books. They might resign him for a cheaper contract because he is actually a pretty good player. But depending on how much he wants, right? If he wants below $2 million for Miles Wood, then I think they can do it, but I don't know.
2 guys, I think, right now, piggybacking off that. Ryan Graves, they can re-sign him. But of the guys you named, I think they're going to look to get rid of Eric Haula and Thomas Tatar. I think those are the 2 that are most expendable. I think they really actually like Miles Wood. If he can be reasonable in contract negotiation, I think he'll re-sign for a nice, like, $2 million type thing. But I don't think they need Tatar or Haula anymore now that they got Meier.
No, I like how this team looks. I'm excited to see Nico Hischier, my Timo Meier combo. That line is set for life now for that organization. So it's nice to see. Now we need to find other players. Well, the Jack Hughes line is also doing really well as well. So it's very exciting times for New Jersey Devil fans.
Yeah, so speaking of that, actually, the lineup, what do you think he's going to be inserted in the lineup? I think he's going to play with his friend Nico. I think they're going to play on a line together, and I think you're going to see Jack Hughes playing with Jesper Bratt as like the 2 major pairs for the top 2 lines.
That's what it should have been all along.
That's probably the play.
I thought Jesper Bratt should have played with Jack Hughes all along, to be honest, all year, because these guys are speedy players. They have great chemistry. We saw that last year as well. But now they have with the acquisition of this Timo Meier, they have the opportunity to just slot him right in with the best friend. Timo Meier is also going to play on power play unit 1 as well, because
100%,
he's going to play probably on the bumper spot. He's got a good shot, so he's probably going to be the shooter on the point.
Yeah, no, it's probably going to be actually Hughes on one side. He'll probably play the wall.
Yeah.
Actually, he'll probably play the wall because Hughes likes to have the point spot beside Dougie. But this is going to be a lethal power play. Like when you got all those options, like they used to only have to worry about Jack Hughes shooting really, or maybe Hamilton from the point, but now they really got some options.
So this is a big question now because of the conditions of that first round pick for 2024 is whether this team can make it to the conference final. Do you think this team can make it to the conference final?
You know, every year there's a surprise team that does something we don't expect, whether it was Vegas a few years ago when they made it to the Cup final in their first year, or when the Montreal Canadiens made it to the Cup final and played against Tampa. Neither of those were expected, so I can't count out the Devils. This is a team that's chemistry has been unreal right now. They're playing the right way. They're out shooting teams majority of the time, and they have a very sneaky good defense that people don't give credit for. And I do think there is a shot. Albeit, I don't think they're the favorite by any means because obviously Carolina has a really good roster, well-coached team, and the Rangers are very loaded. But I do think you cannot count out this Devils team.
No, you cannot count out the Devils team. I agree. I admit they are a pretty good team. However, I feel like their surprises is done. They had their surprise in the beginning of the year. The people were like, wow, this team is first place. They won 10 in a row. This team is very fast. I feel like in the team, and when the playoff comes, a lot of teams are going to adjust because they're only facing one opponent. They're going to be able to adjust to that one team. And I just feel like New Jersey Devils don't have that playoff experience personally to carry them over the New York Rangers, for example. The New York Rangers are a very experienced team, and especially that team is also loading up right now, loading up very heavily. And there's very heavily rumored that these guys are going to get Patrick Kane. And if they add Patrick Kane on that Artemi Panarin line, it's going to be very, very scary.
Yeah, plus the Devils are one of the youngest teams in the league. I think actually right now they're the second youngest team in the entire NHL, which is kind of wild. I wouldn't worry if I'm them and you have a bad playoff run this year because, I mean, your core is clearly good. You're clearly doing things the right way. And they still have so many prospects that are waiting to come up that could be stars like Luke Hughes and Timo Meier. Like, these guys are going to be future star pillars on the defensive end. And this team's only going to get better over the years.
Yeah, that was actually one thing I was really surprised. None of those players got traded.
Or Holtz. That was
the big one.
Like, they did not get these guys back. We thought
Holtz was going to get traded, but he didn't get traded. Now I'm like, good
it
on New Jersey.
It seems like what the GM Tom Fitzgerald was doing for the Devils here was he was trying to get rid of more pieces. He was willing to get rid of players who physically haven't been drafted yet by just giving up first round picks, multiples. So he didn't have to give up prospects that were already with the team for a while. And I was really shocked because Holtz even changed all his bio information on Instagram to not be part of the team at first. And he took off his profile picture with the Devils. I thought for sure he was going to be a San Jose Shark.
Yeah, it's crazy. Another thing I want to bring up too is that because the New Jersey Devil have Luke Hughes and Timo Meier, these are high defensive prospect. They were allowed to make this huge Russian prospect expendable.
Oh, they don't need him.
Right?
There's no way he fits in that lineup ever. No offense to Shakir, good player, solid player, but there's no way he was ever going to.
However, the Sharks badly need him. So that's why I like what Sharks did.
Let's talk about the Sharks side of this.
The Sharks did really well. Personally, they could have done better. Personally, but I was hoping that Alex Holtz would go the other way to play with his friend William Eklund. But
yeah, so was I kind of.
Yeah, but you can't. Not everything can go go our way all the time. But no, it's a good trade. I like Fabian Sutherland. He's a fast kid. I saw him play third line on this.
I think he automatically plays top six now. Yeah. Now that he's on the Sharks, I'm pretty sure he's going to slot into the top six. He had a really good season playing a lot of the year with guys like Nico on the first or second line. So he was getting some good ice time, and he was actually having some scoring success early in the year. Shakir might actually finally have a chance to get a crack at the lineup now because he's more of a minor league player. But on a team rebuilding like the Sharks, they might give him a couple games at the end of the year to play and see how he does, like maybe the last 9 games of the season. And I think that these first round picks are going to be key because this team's already going to be drafting top 5 this year because, I mean, they're bottom 3 right now in the league. This is a team who is going to get a really, really elite player in this year's draft. And now they have the option to pick later and maybe get a defenseman.
I'm just curious to see how many draft picks this San Jose Sharks are going to load up during this trade deadline.
They could get so many.
They can get a lot, but however, I don't see them moving Erik Karlsson. I just don't see any teams biting on him. There's only one team that's rumored to be biting on him, and I don't think that team can actually make that move for him. In terms of asset for disposal, I just don't think the Oilers have the asset to dispose for Erik Karlsson. I just feel like that trade isn't going to happen. So yeah, I feel like they already trade out most of their players as of right now. They might be able to trade out Barabanov. Mm-hmm. That's probably
a lot of people would want that contract.
Maybe some takers on like Kevin LeBanc. I'm not sure if someone wants that player. That's crazy.
They'd have to eat some cap for
that.
They'd
definitely have to eat some cap for that player. But maybe a team like Pittsburgh Penguin can look into that player like that. A depth player,
middle six player.
Maybe that will help that team because that team has definitely been struggling. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think. All in all, I'd say this was a pretty fair, balanced trade considering Timo Meier was not going to be back with the Sharks. They got a lot back. Not exactly what we expected to see, but enough that they can start rebuilding. And honestly, the Sharks have needed to rebuild for probably the last 5 years. They just refuse to admit it.
Yeah, all parties are very happy, I think. Timo Meier himself is obviously very happy. He's going to go to a contending team for once who can actually win some hockey games and make the playoffs for once. And on top of that, he gets to play with his best friend. There's nothing not to like there. San Jose and both San Jose and New Jersey, I feel like they both won their deals in their own respect just because of the stage of their organization. One is contending in the playoffs and the other one is rebuilding.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of what it was 10 years ago. Now the Devils are on the up and then the Sharks are rock bottom.
Just like the other trades we saw earlier today or yesterday, right? It's the same thing.
No, it's pretty crazy right now. I'm actually a little sad. All these trades are happening now before the trade deadline day. We were excited for a busy trade deadline day, but it looks like we're not going to be getting the big pieces falling on that day. A lot of them have already went so far, but we're going to continue to try to update you guys on any big trades that happen. And we look forward to talking to you guys in our next video. Till next time, take care.
Take care, guys. Bye.